Good tea time, my dear strangers. Welcome back to my erratic, crafty-handed world. Today, I will be repurposing one ancient nightstand. We saved Cookie's life when he barely came to our door last March. He is a semi-feral cat, so he doesn't mind being outdoors. And my inner sanctuary is unfortunately full. Cookie fell in love with sitting in front of the terrace door, watching the indoor activities, and staying quite strictly close by since the trouble. In the summer it was fine, but as the weather got cold and snow came, it was painful to look at him. So I temporarily housed him in a fleece and foam promo cat house, which is not really for outdoor use. When the temperatures dropped below 5 Fahrenheit last week, I decided I better finish that serious cat house I started months ago. As I salvage everything with potential, it didn't take me long to find a great base for my project. An old, deteriorated nightstand. It was eaten by worms, but I already treated the wood in the summer, so hopefully there are no live ones in there. Unfortunately, the legs were unrepairable, so I had to make brand new ones. I found some suitable wood in my pet piles, cleaned it up, and copied the shape of the original legs. And since I don't have a bandsaw, I had to cut them out with jigsaw, which was a bit challenging. They were not exactly the same. So I clamped them all together and fine-tuned the shape with a wood grinder and sander. The bottom of the nightstand was seriously damaged and completely falling apart. I had to fill all the big holes with various wood plugs and all the smaller holes with wood putty. Durham's water putty is my favorite. I have about a gallon of it in my shop. Then I glued the nightstand back together and clamped it overnight. I cut a new bottom panel from a leftover half-inch plywood, slightly larger so I could bevel the edge with a router. Then I clamped it to the bottom of the nightstand and drilled the new holes for the dowels. I used my dowel marker pins to mark the dowel holes on the legs. To drill the holes vertically into the curved legs seemed impossible until I came up with a way to clamp them all together facing opposite directions, so they would actually stand by themselves. That way, I was able to drive the drill straight down. I glued the base to the nightstand and the dowels into the holes to align everything right. I secured the bottom panel with the small nails, and finally, I glued all the legs on. I also decided to screw them down from the inside of the cabinet for more strength. Again, I clamped everything to dry overnight. And it was time to sketch some kitty doors on a piece of paper. I guess Buckwheat got chills and tried to prevent me from continuing, but he didn't stop me. The nightstand seems to be tall enough for the shelf in the middle, so I decided to make a little condo. I placed the kitty door templates how I like them and traced them onto the front of the nightstand. I selected the same size drill bit as my jigsaw blade, so I could pre-drill a starting point and some turning points along my design. And then I slowly and carefully cut the kitty doors out, while holding a camera in my left hand. Sorry. Of course, I cleaned up the edges with a fine sandpaper, and it was time to paint. After thinking and thinking and thinking, I picked a heavy-duty rosewood color exterior wood paint. and carefully painted the whole cat house with it. As the interior was not pretty, I painted it also. And it was not until now that I realized I should have cut doors in the side of the cat house, not the front. Cookie loves to lay while watching me in the kitchen, but this way he would only have a garden view, and I don't think it would satisfy his demands. Oh well, not a big deal. I just cut the new doors from the side. And to fill up the holes in the cabinet door, I just cut a thin 3/8 of an inch plywood to size and attached with glazing wedges. Of course, now I had more painting to do. While the paint was drying, I cleaned the inner bottom shelf of the cabinet and the top backboard. And since I forgot about the backboard altogether, I had to sand the paint down where it attaches so the glue would hold better. I glued it down and clamped it as usual. Remember to always wipe all the glue that squirts out before it dries. The space under the bottom shelf was perfect for some insulation, so I cut a piece of extruded polystyrene I had left over from my window project and pushed it in there. It was almost the right thickness too. Then I closed it with the original bottom shelf and nailed it in place with a few tiny nails. I painted the bottom shelf and the top board and went to cut some more plywood to make the center shelf that got lost somewhere in time. And since I was already cutting, I made 2 shelf supports also. Surprise! It fits! And I made final last-minute fix-ups before a hopefully last base painting.